everyone, welcome to this new episode of our Student Spotlight series where we are able to showcase some of the work our past students have done. I'm Charlotte, one of the outreach coordinators with us here at CCIR, and it's our pleasure today to have Shirley here to discuss her experience in the one-on-one mentorship. So firstly, Shirley, can you just introduce yourself? So tell us where you're from, what year you are in school, and then what made you seek out CCIR?
All right. Hi, everyone. And I'm from China, and I'm currently in the senior year of high school. And I did a one-on-one research mentorship program at CCIR. And I worked on a paper with Dr. Ali Mahmoodi at the University of Oxford.
And what was your topic of your course?
Oh, so my paper title was The Emergence and Functions of Concept Neurons in Abstract Representation. So basically it was a paper talking about concept neurons in various areas. For example, like I talked about it and about the basic characteristics about concept neurons, and I also talked about how it appears in the intersection with computer science, and also I talked about in humans and also in animals.
Interesting. And can you explain for someone who might not know what that is? Can you give us a brief definition?
Okay, so concept neurons, they are a kind of highly selective brain cells. So they are mainly in the human medial temporal lobe. So if I put my hand here and then goes inside for like 4 to 5 centimeters, that would be the human medial temporal lobe. And these kind of neurons, they can fire sparsely and invariantly to like specific people, objects, or ideas. So, by invariantly, I mean that no matter you receive a picture, a voice, text, or viewpoint, that's a kind of concept neurons would be activated. So there are some really famous examples. For example, there's a kind of neurons called the Jennifer Aniston neurons, which they only be activated when you hear or see anything related to Jennifer Aniston. So that's pretty interesting. And these neurons act as a bridge between the episodic memory, which is your specific experiences, and the semantic memory, which are your understanding about general concepts, basically how you use them in your language. And these kind of neurons, they don't appear fully formed when at birth. So they would gradually emerge from your experience, like when we repeatedly encounter the same personal object in different contexts. For example, we saw an apple, like we can see a red apple, a green apple, or yellow apple, but we always know that it's an apple. And these episodic specific index neurons, they will be reactivated again and again. And over time, we would see those shared features, like, for example, the apple, and these are strengthened, and these context-specific details, they fade, and we can have those stable and abstract concept representations. And also, these kind of neurons, they are flexible. So they can like dynamically update when we learn new associations, and they can help us to relate new ideas during thinking or decision making. For example, there are some studies in patients like Alzheimer's patients or epilepsy patients, and also animals. And these studies show that the damage to these areas would impair the concept formation and memory. And also, this kind of similar sparse and invariant representation can also appear in primates and even rodents in some cases. And also, some deep learning models, for example, ChatGPT, they can also develop these concept-like units in their like deeper layers. And so the like this kind of sparse and invariant representations, they might be a general computational solution used by both biological and artificial systems. So this is basically what my paper talks about, and this is some fundamental knowledge about concept neurons.
Interesting. And before you came into the program, did you know what concept neurons were, or did you just have kind of a general interest in neuroscience and then Dr. Mahmoodi helped you discover what this concept was?
I actually had no idea about what concept neuron was. Yeah. So Basically, before I came into the program, I was really interested in consciousness, and I'm really interested in consciousness too, with an interdisciplinary approach. So I was especially passionate about cognitive science, which is the intersection of various subjects, for example, neuroscience, linguistics, psychology, and philosophy, and so on. So I was fascinated by how people think. And when I came into the program, Professor my mentor, he was really interested in the field as well, and he taught me a lot of knowledge about how people think, and most about decision making. And he introduced me to this concept of concept neurons. Yeah.
Nice. And then we'll get into discussing your specific research topic. So you've already given us a little bit of an overview of what it was about. Can you walk us through your research methods and process? So what type of research did you conduct and how was the process of finding data and what that experience was like for you?
So basically, it was more like a literature review. We read a lot of papers, and I tried to find some connections between the papers and to find some topics in multiple fields. For example, I talked about something about the deep learning models, the artificial intelligence, and also maybe some papers about animals, how this kind of neuron they can be both activated in human and both activated in rodents and other animals. So we read a lot of papers and we try to find connections between them, and we try to find the gap between the papers and the gap of the current studies of concept neurons. And in the end, I concluded what all these papers talk about, and um, I try to draw a conclusion about what concept neurons they really are.
And had you conducted a literature review before CCIR?
Before CCIR, actually, I didn't have a lot of research experience, and I basically learned the whole research process in CCIR under the help of a mentor, and he really helped me a lot about in how to find those papers, how to read those papers. Like, um, I should read the abstract. I should know what the paper is like generally about. And then I would select some of the papers that I believe is really related to my topic and my interest. And then I would read the conclusions and also the methodology. And then I would go to the figures and like know some specific details about this study in this paper.
Great. And then, yeah, it is quite a different process compared to what you're used to in a normal high school class. And then to go back to your paper itself, can you walk us through your findings? Did you find anything that maybe was surprising or interesting, and what kind of your general conclusions were?
Well, I think I've mostly included my conclusions in my formal explanations. Like there are some specific characteristics of concept neurons, like they would fire sparsely and invariantly, and I explained the invariance in detail, like um, how we see or hear or like just get a general concept of a concept, and those kind of concept neurons they will be fired and they'll be activated. And also, I concluded that these kind of pattern may also be found in the deep learning models, and how these kind of neurons can shape our memories and how they can like help us in our language, like how we are communicating with others. Yeah.
And can you tell us, in your opinion, what you think the importance of your findings are, either to the field or just the general public?
Well, I believe concept neurons is a really important like a kind of neurons that um when we are trying to understand about our minds, to understand about consciousness, we cannot like just ignore this concept neurons about how people form concepts. For example, when we let's go back to the example of apples. When we see an apple, we know it's an apple, and there is a process of how you see it, how you like understand what it is, and you know that you can say it's an apple. So there's a process of forming a concept and saying out the concept. And I believe it's really important to us to learn about the minds and to apply it to like AI models or maybe brain-computer interface in the future.
Nice. And then now we're going to shift to just discussing your general experience with CCIR. So firstly, can you tell us what your experience was like in the program doing a high-level research project like this as a high school student?
Well, I believe it wasn't so stressful as I used to believe it was before I came in. Yeah, but of course, there was a lot of work. I need to read a lot of papers, but basically, I liked the work that I was doing, and I loved talking with my mentor and also learning a lot of things from him. Like we talk about topics like memory, we talk about dopamine, and also something about dopamine and reinforcement learning, and also how people make decisions, and also like cognitive maps. So I actually broadened my horizon about in the field of neuroscience, and I knew how to conduct a research. I knew the general process of conducting a research, and I think I am really interested in these fields, and I'm sure I can ensure that I would continue to be interested in this field, and I may do something related to it in the future as well.
That's great. I think that's one of the great benefits of CCIR is that you are able to get this experience so young so that moving forward you can learn very early on whether it's something that you're actually interested in, and then pursue it either in uni or in your career and just have that confidence that you know that this is something that you're interested in. And your mentor, Dr. Mahmoudi, is absolutely fantastic. One of our best mentors. Yeah, so my next question for you is about the research process. So we already discussed that this was your first time doing a kind of high level research project like this, doing a literature review. What was that learning process like, and how did Dr. Mahmoudi help you kind of go from a beginner into a confident researcher?
Okay, so for the first few weeks, he taught me some fundamental knowledge in this field, like as I've said, something about memories and how we make decisions, and basically how the brain process information, make decisions, and how we can learn from our experiences. And in the later weeks, we worked on a paper. We read a lot of papers. He like taught me how to find those papers, how to read those papers, and how to communicate with others about the papers that I read. And he also taught me what a proper research paper looks like. And like I would do some presentations about the papers that I read, and also he would give me some topics to search about. And after I search about it, I would also give a presentation, and he would point out some like mistakes that I've made and try to help me to explore deeper into that specific topic. So I really learned a lot from this process, from the only the textbook knowledge to how to do a research, and also he also like t taught me how to communicate effectively. For example, I may use some figures to illustrate my ideas.
And then my next question for you is about getting access to such a niche course. So obviously this isn't just a neuroscience course, but it's one that combines so many other topics, which is such a quite a unique experience to be able to have access to such a niche course with a mentor that has expertise in that area at such a young age. What was it like getting access to that type of course, and how do you think that helped kind of shaped what you think of your path moving forward? You mentioned that a little bit already.
Yeah, I do agree that is a really niche subject, and I believe to get access to this kind of program can really teach me to do some multidisciplinary research in the future, and it can actually help me to understand more about what I'm interested in. And also, I may see something in different perspectives. For example, I may not only see concept neurons as a biological concept in biology, but also in other fields. For example, I may also see it in philosophy, like how, like the philosophy of mind, how we understand the world, how we interact with others. And also, I may see it in computer science, like artificial intelligence and how those models can be similar to our own minds. So I believe it's a really valuable experience for me, and I can definitely to embrace more topics in the future, and I can like know more about myself too.
That's great. And then my last question for you, what would you say to someone who asked you what the value of doing a project or a program like this is, especially for a high school student?
Well, I believe it's a really important path to find out what you truly love. And I always believe finding the real love is like a really like helpful and for your future, especially as a high school student, you of course need to explore for your university degree. You need to explore for like what you want in your higher education. And I believe that to have a research program is really um, really helpful for like to know about your passion or what you're passionate about, and also how to um, for example, to know if you really like the subject in the not only in the textbook but also in practice. Like if you really conduct a research, you would know what it truly is in real life. If you can actually go into a lab, you can know more about it. Like you can know what it's like to do some experiments, and you can know more about how to actually interact with the professors and others in this field as well.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. It really just sets you up for kind of a confident journey in uni. And I think it's a great point that you brought up about being able to learn how to interact with professors. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. That brings us to the end of our spotlight interview. Thank you so much for chatting with me, and congratulations again on your nomination to our series.
Thanks.